Hello, Daphne here with another video for you. This one's titled, One Good Deed Leads to Another. You're looking at a picture of me in Maili Tatu, Kenya, in front of a medical clinic, the only one there in that region. But I'm going to back up because there's an interesting story behind this picture. And that was many, many, many years before this. My son Andrew had a girlfriend, and that girlfriend was a nurse, and she and her and another friend, another nurse, set off for Maili Tatu, Kenya, to help build a clinic, the clinic that you're looking at in this picture. Before she left, my son Andrew gave her an envelope filled with money, and with the instructions to find somebody that was needy. I thought, well, gosh, that was going to be a hard choice because there are so many poor people in Maili Tatu, and how are they ever going to pick just one? But anyway, so the nurses went off to Kenya, and they had to find a place to wash their clothes, and they were referred to a lady that had a pump where they could literally pump the water right out of the ground, and that's where they washed their clothes. And they got to know Esther, the matriarch of this little compound. And Esther was just so kind and so good to them, and they just began to really have wonderful feelings about her. During one of their laundry trips, Esther was telling them about her son, John, who was in boarding school up in Loitokitok, a town about a half an hour away. The nurses were thinking, I wonder if this might be a candidate for Andrew's money. Unbeknownst to Esther, they inquired more about the location of John's school in Loitokitok, and off they went. They met the young man, and they were overly impressed. He was kind, he was gracious, he was just so happy to see them. He was just a wonderful young man, they ascertained right from the start. So they went back to Maili Tatu, and they told Esther, his mother, that they had a gift for her, and they handed over the envelope. Esther was beside herself with joy. She didn't know where she would have been able to pay for the continuing education of her son, who she believed deserved it because he was the smartest of all of her kids. She literally got down on her hands and knees right then and there and thanked the good Lord for her good fortune. Well, the nurses continued their work at the clinic, and it finally got built and finished. Many years later, I decided to give Andrew a present for his birthday by bringing John to the United States to meet him. They had never met, and I forgot to mention that not only did Andrew pay for that year of boarding school for John, but because John was so grateful for Andrew's acts of kindness, Andrew sponsored and paid for John's education all the way through college. So in the year that John was graduating, I said, I'm going to go to Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm going to meet John, and I'm going to bring him to the United States to meet Andrew for his birthday as a surprise birthday present. So I hopped on a plane to Nairobi, and off I went. Before leaving, John asked me if I wouldn't come and spend the weekend out in Maili Tatu with his family, about 3 hours south of Nairobi on the border of Kenya. With fear in my heart, I said yes. And I can tell you it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. So I met John, and we went off on the dusty long trek down to Maili Tatu. I was just thrilled to be there. I was thrilled to meet John's mother, his whole family, his nieces and nephews. And, of course, I was absolutely delighted to finally see the clinic here that the two nurses had helped to build and had been such a boon and such an important place for the people of Maili Tatu. And here I am walking away from the clinic with John on the day that I got the chance to visit that very, very special place. And I can proudly say that I spent the night in a hut. Believe it or not, this Ritz-Carlton girl spent the night in a hut out in the middle of nowhere. And the bathroom facilities were an outhouse. Yep, an outhouse. And I had to walk in the middle of the night. And I wondered whether some wild African animal was going to gobble me up. But they didn't. And I can tell you that I had one of the most wonderful experiences of my lifetime, being in the wilderness of Africa in this tiny little town with this absolutely wonderful family that I fell in love with immediately. But alas, I was never able to get that visa for John to come to the United States to meet his benefactor, my son Andrew. And this absolutely infuriated me when I think of all the illegals that are coming into the United States, and I couldn't bring this educated young man on a 10-day vacation to the United States. Well, it made my hair stand on end. I was so mad. But anyway, we still haven't been able to get him here to meet Andrew to this day, which is very, very sad. But I've had the pleasure of being in Maili Tatu on 2 separate trips, and each one was an absolutely glorious experience. And I am so proud of myself for doing it because I am basically a Ritz-Carlton girl. I'm not a roughing it. I don't like camping particularly. No, I don't like it at all, I should say. Not particularly, not at all. So I was very proud that I decided to do this. And by far, when I look back on my life of travels, going to spend time in the wilderness of Kenya in Maili Tatu is definitely going to be one of the travel highlights and one of the most memorable and meaningful experiences of my lifetime.